Thank you very much for being with us tonight. Welcome to the class of 2027, our future T-Bolts. We're super delighted that you're here. Welcome, class of 2027. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yes, this is the beginning of the future steps to get to your high school career. Obviously, we've met before. We had a night prior to this one. Tonight is going to be a little bit of information for you about course registration, course selection process. Just want to make sure that we walk you through. We promised that we would walk through every step of the way. This is one of the steps to getting you there. Furthermore, there are people here tonight, our administrative team, as well as staff, that want to ensure that you have the best possible experience transitioning to high school. Our administrators that are here tonight, our leadership team, every single one of them is a parent that is putting themselves in your shoes as the parents, the guardians, those of you that are the caretakers of our future T-Bolts. They're trying to figure out how you would feel in this role and what you need, as well as what is your role, trying to help you navigate that. If you're questioning, what is my role tonight? Tonight, what I'm going to ask from you, I'm Dr. Othman, the principal here at Andrew High School. And what I'm going to ask of you is to hear out the kids, listen to our future T-Bolts about some of their elective thoughts. What are they thinking about for classes? Some of the areas that they might start, I want to try something new, or I'm a little passionate about this. This is the time to look into that. Because in high school, this is the exploration time. You definitely want them to try things, try new things here. It's a little early to talk about college, but we'll touch upon post-secondary and beyond high school, beyond Andrew in a little bit. You're not even here yet, so I'm not going to inundate you in that. But this is the time to figure out, what do I like, what do I not like, and what am I good at? And with that in mind, that helps to decide on your next steps and where you want to go. There are people here tonight, as I said, in addition to our administrative team, we have staff members that are going to walk you through some things as well to help make this process really easy for you. I want you to know there is no one definition of a T-Bolt. Our T-Bolts look very different, meaning they have different interests, they have different passions, there's things that they like to do. So there is not a T-Bolt profile. You might hear from other schools like, this is what our student looks like. There isn't one T-Bolt profile. Every kid is different. Every plan is different for each student. So with keeping that in mind, I'm going to take you through tonight's agenda. What are our objectives for tonight in working with you as the parent and obviously the student? I want you to also make sure that you're involved in this process, and we'll talk a little bit about that. First things first, we're going to have our Associate Principal of Curriculum and Instruction. Mrs. Smith is going to walk you through the placement process. Then we're going to walk you through the placement process details with our division chair. Those are the administrative team that I was talking about. They oversee our departments here at school. We will have course selection and next steps in enrollment. Ms. View, our Director of Guidance, is going to walk you through what the next steps for enrollment look like. And then we're going to have a break. We'll have a little bit of a pause in between. And there's an optional panel if you would like to be a part of that. We will have an honors AP panel, because sometimes parents have questions, or students, about what does that mean? What does that look like? I'm not certain. So you'll be able to hear from our experts here in the building about honors and AP classes. Special education questions, Mrs. Russell will be in room 144 during that time for anybody that needs further assistance with those questions. So this is the agenda for tonight. We're going to try to answer your questions as best as possible. Like I said, our main goal is to make sure that no one is walking through today a little bit anxious, not certain. We are going to alleviate all that. We talked before about first-time high school parents. Obviously, you know, you're new navigating this process. We want to make sure that you're able to not only navigate smoothly, but transition your student as easily as possible. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us. You have that information in front of you. Our booster parents, part of being a T-Bolt, one thing that we're very proud of is our involvement and our connections. The next step of your process after registration, we are going to have a co-curricular night in April. So in April, because it's closer to the start of the year, we are going to invite you back and have our students as well as staff show you all the great activities, clubs, sports that are offered at Andrew High School. I know you're going to be wowed and amazed when you come back in April. That event is a little bit more lively, you're engaged, and you get to have a little bit of fun with us. So we're looking forward to you coming back after registration night. For parents, connection-wise, our athletic boosters are outside in the foyer when you leave. They do have some Andrew wear if you would like to get a jump start on that process and get some clothing from our athletic boosters. Obviously, it supports the programs. And then our future T-Bolts already have some wear. So again, welcome to Andrew High School. I appreciate you being here. We're really excited to kick off all the steps to get you ready for being in those seats as a freshman at Andrew High School. At this time, I'm going to welcome Mrs. Smith, our Associate Principal. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Othman. Hello, class of 2027 families and students. We are thrilled to have you in our building once again tonight. Obviously, transitioning into high school is a really big moment. We know you have a lot of questions, and we're going to answer as many as we can tonight. I'm going to take a few minutes to share information with you regarding the placement process and the recent communication that you received. My goal over the next few minutes is to provide you with just a general overview of how those placements are made, and to explain how to engage in what we call the waiver process if you feel a placement should be reconsidered. Our division chairs will then speak to this in greater detail for the various subject areas. Our larger goal of the evening, however, is for our new VJA families to gain clarity regarding the course selection process and ensure a supported, positive entry into Andrew. So I'm going to begin by speaking to the communication that you recently received. Late last week, you received an important email that explains several key steps and points of information related to course selection. Note that you should have a printout of that email communication on the front right side of the folder that you picked up in case you want it in front of you as we talk through this. There's also a blank page behind that on VJA letterhead for any notes you want to jot down, should you so choose. So the email from last week walks you through how to activate your Skyward account, which really is step number one for most things course selection and registration. It also describes how to schedule a virtual course selection appointment with an Andrew guidance counselor. Michelle View, our guidance director, will speak more to those upcoming appointments in just a few minutes. This email communication also provides you with the course recommendations for next year, the contact information for our division chairs, and resources that families and students can use in selecting their courses. Many of those resources have been printed out and are within your folders tonight. Please note that if you have already reached out to a division chair and the recommendation has been changed, it is not reflected in the printout that you are holding. The courses you see are the original recommendations. If for some reason you did not receive an email, then I'm glad you found your way here tonight, and we will certainly get that rectified. You can talk to one of us afterwards or contact our guidance department at VJA Guidance in order to let them know that. All right, on the screen you see a picture of generally what those placements looked like within last week's communication. So how were those course placements made? Our division chairs review two valuable points of information. The first is your students' PSAT test scores from this past fall, and the second is the 8th grade teacher recommendations. These data points have historically been a really strong predictor of where students will be most successful. Therefore, we use this information to make the placement that we think is most appropriate. However, we also know that this information does not tell the whole story. And therefore, we welcome conversations with our families about these placements in order to understand your perspective and to get a more complete picture of each of our incoming students. Included in that email and printed for you tonight is the contact information for each of our division chairs, as well as a link to what we call a waiver form. You are welcome and encouraged to reach out to our division chairs with any questions so that we can help you make a more informed decision about placement. If, however, you feel like you have all the information that you need and you want to request a change of placement for any of the courses, please use the link or the QR code to the waiver form to submit that request. That QR code is up on the screen behind me, was within the email, and is also on the Class of 2027 website. We do ask that waiver requests are completed prior to your student's virtual course selection appointment with the guidance counselor on either February 1st, 2nd, or 4th. Ideally, these waiver requests are submitted 48 hours in advance of that appointment. This way, the division chair has time to review your request and to respond. Counselors aren't able to approve these requests within that appointment, so handling waivers in advance will ensure a seamless appointment. So please know that rationale for the change request is always asked for within this form. So consider sharing things like MAP results or any other test results from recently. That's always very, very helpful. We also have a healthy menu of academic supports for our students, regardless of the courses that they choose to take. Some of these supports come in the form of the courses themselves, such as co-taught and instructional and extended math and English. We also offer core literacy at the freshman level, which is a year-long targeted reading course that assists students with building skills and confidence in reading across all subject areas. A placement into any of those academic supports would have been reflected within the communication that you received. There's also a wealth of academic supports that your students can access during the course of their school day. What we call the center is a primary example. It's a place where students can choose to go each and every day and work with trained student tutors and teachers in any course they choose. I will turn it over now to our division chairs who will walk more in depth through the courses and the course placement process. First to the stage is Ms. Mary McCarthy, Division Chair for English, Music, EL, Fine Arts, and the Media Center. Ms. McCarthy.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to talk about your favorite subject and mine, English. A 4-year high school requirement. So we want to get you off to a great start, which is the purpose of placement, to put you in a class that's best aligned to your current skills and get you off to a good start in high school English. So let me walk you through some of the ways those placements are made and a little bit of the distinctions between the levels, again, with the goal of giving you the kind of information you need to process the placement on the letter, in the email, and then if you still have questions, you're at least got a starting point to ask those questions. So let me first say that both Honors English and Academic English are both college prep courses, meaning they're both designed to prepare your student for the language demands of post-secondary school at whatever level they want to do that. But the language demands for schooling are also very applicable to the workplace as well. The ability to communicate in writing, to read complex material, to speak clearly, to make arguments, to listen to other people making arguments, etc. So as we talk about the difference of levels, keep that in mind. Most students are in academic, and Andrew students, most students go on to some advanced schooling past high school, and they're doing great. So your students, I very much suspect, given this august group, are going to do great too. So let me talk specifically about honors, which is the number one question families have for me. Why might your student have been placed in honors English? So the placement was based on the criteria you see on the screen. So we get a recommendation from the current 8th grade English teacher, and then we look at the PSAT, what's called the ERW score. On your letter, it doesn't say ERW, but that's what that score that you're seeing on the letter represents. It's the part of the PSAT that are about English. And so the score that I'm looking for, the kind of score that we're hoping for is a 500 or below, or above, excuse me. But I also have a little bit of a borderline range that's down to 470, where I would consider that a student that's got the language skills necessary to be successful at that level, starting in high school. You'll see there too, when someone's a little bit on the borderline, I'll also take a closer look at the reading score in particular, which is a part of that ERW, because reading is the most important predictor of success at the honors level. A lot of words on this screen, but I know they're big for you, so let me just take a moment. I've said they're both college preparatory, so what's the difference? So both classes are going to involve students reading both fiction and nonfiction. They're going to read long works, and they're going to read Shakespeare. So what's going to happen in the honors class, they're likely to read more long works, and the long works they read will be more complex or challenging because those students coming into that class are ready for that level of challenge. So simple way to describe this is think of your student at the honors level essentially starting at the 10th grade level as readers and writers, if that makes sense. And why do I make that comparison? Because in our honors and AP sequence, by the time they're juniors, they're doing college level work. So to get to college level work by the time you're a junior, which our students definitely do, that's because they're ready to do that, generally speaking, starting at the beginning of high school. Writing is a big focus of our English curriculum, and argumentation is at the center of that work, and that will happen in both levels. What we're expecting of our honor students is they're more advanced as writers coming into high school, more in control of the structures of their essay, beginning to develop a personal style, more comfortable providing evidence for their arguments. So that's a distinction we're looking for. And as I've referenced, I'm not going to say we're moving faster, but certainly the difficulty level, if you think about it again, everyone's going to be ready for 13th grade, but a group of our students will be ready in 11th grade. Some students have a placement for extended. The most common misconception is that it's a separate class. Extended is academic English. No difference in the class, no difference on the transcript, same teacher, same curriculum, not a separate group at all. The only distinction is that those students who are coming into high school with scores that put them in a little bit of potential challenge for the academic high school curriculum. So we have them with their English teacher in place of a study hall that all freshmen have opposite their lunch, and that way they have daily access to that English teacher to preview, to reteach, to look one-on-one at essays and speeches, and to provide them that support throughout the year for this 4-year requirement. So that's what extended is. Definitely email me if you have any additional questions about your student, that placement, and how it impacts them. Extended is really only here to answer for freshmen and sophomores in English, so it's not a forever thing. It's really intended to get them off to a strong start. You'll see there on the screen, 380 is that score that if we're below that score, we're looking at wanting to provide some extra support for those students. Dr. Ladiak, when she talks about math, is going to talk more about the scheduling interaction between extended English and math, so I'll let her elaborate on that. Briefly, you heard that I'm also in charge of EL, or English learners. We're very, very excited to welcome a large group of EL students to Andrew next year, and we're also very excited that for the first year we'll have a resource specifically for Spanish speakers. So if your student has an EL placement, know that we made it based on the PSAT score, as well as the 2022 Access score, which is required by law for us to use for placement. Students are going to just took Access or about to take Access in 8th grade right now. We'll look at those scores in the spring when we receive them, and we may make further adjustments if the proficiency of those students increases. Again, love to answer questions. If you have them as you're going through this, send me an email or give me a call if you need more clarification about our EL program. The last special placement I'm going to talk about is core literacy, which Ms. Smith mentioned. Core literacy is a year-long Reading course, it gives elective credit. It's not an English course. It's supporting reading in English, but also in science, math, and social studies. It's a great course. It's a small group with a great teacher, and it's really meant to bulk up the skills that are central to success in all of those required classes. It's placed based on the PSAT reading score alone, and it's a pretty hard and fast criteria. So if you want to talk to me about not doing core literacy, I definitely would like to see a MAP score, okay, a MAP reading score. So send that along to me, and I'm happy to review it to see if that test is, in your experience, a better reflection for your students' proficiency in reading. All right, I talked about Dr. Ladiak, so here she comes. She's going to talk about your second favorite subject, mathematics.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to VJ this evening. I am here to talk to you about the wonderful world of mathematics. The first thing you might notice on my slide is the titles of our courses that are offered. So you'll see course titles that include Math 1, Honors Math 1, and others that are similar in nature. Here at District 230, we do abide to an integrated math curriculum, which combines algebra, geometry, as well as probability and statistics into each year of math curriculum from Math 1 through Math 3. Just like the other DCs have mentioned, as well as Ms. Smith, we use a couple of different factors to help us in our placement in the math department. The first of which is that 8th grade teacher recommendation. We do sit with those 8th grade teachers and discuss the types of qualities we'd like to see in those students in the courses that we do offer. In addition to that, I take the math sub-score and match that together to determine the placement that was available in your placement letter. As you can see, we do offer a plethora of courses in the math department. For most students, you're going to see a course recommendation of either Honors Math 1, Academic Math 1, a traditional extended Math 1, or a reduced class size Math 1. We do have a couple of instructional courses that are reserved for our special services students, including instructional Math 1 and co-taught academic Math 1. So the first thing I'd like to pop up onto the screen for you today is that matrix that I utilize when making placements. You'll notice in the first column is where I take into account the 8th grade teacher's recommendation. I follow along that row to see where the student's math placement score fell, and their final placement lands in the column that aligns with it. So taking a look at that, and again, I know this is a quick presentation and probably you're trying to look quickly through your folders to see what happened with your scores. This presentation will be available to see further, and if you have questions, please feel free to reach out at a later time. Those two factors allow me to make the best decision in regards to your student's placement for the 23-24 school year. So to talk a little bit about the difference between our academic and our honors coursework. You'll notice the first difference is that our honors students experience all of the curriculum that an academic student experiences. However, in addition to that curriculum, they start delving into Math 2 topics. Those are two different units that our traditional academic Math 2 students would see as sophomores, and those include our exponents and roots, as well as polynomials and factoring. So the difference between our honors and our academic, we do go deeper into the material as well as cover additional topics in that class. Some key differences in what we see in student qualities as they enter an Honors Math 1 class as compared to an academic course is the ability to navigate multi-step problems seamlessly by applying prerequisite knowledge. Students who are in Honors Math 1 also show exceptional perseverance in challenging problem solving. Again, just like the other DCs would say tonight, if you have any questions about your placement of student into honors, academic, or one of our extended models, I'm here to answer those questions. The next tier that I would like to talk about is our traditional extended Math 1. So beyond our honors and our academic courses, we offer two tiers of support for students who are just shy of the benchmarks for entering our academic coursework. For both of these classes, it is a heterogeneous model where we have students in a blended course with their academic level peers. Students in all of these courses are receiving academic math curriculum. So whether your student is in a traditional extended math class, a Math 1 class, they are seeing the same content, the same assessments, and are working alongside their academic peers. Just as Ms. McCarthy talked about in regards to English, our first model, that is our most extensive model in math, is our traditional extended Math 1 course. Our traditional course will feature, just like English, 1 hour with their teacher alongside those academic peers. But in addition, during a half-hour period later or earlier in the day, the students will meet with their classroom teacher to work on prerequisite skills, to enhance their knowledge of the current coursework, or to assist with students as they learn how to do high school. One important note, as Ms. McCarthy alluded to earlier, is if your child has a placement both in Extended Math 1 and in Extended Freshman English, those two courses would combine together to take up 1 period of the day, and therefore it would eliminate 1 elective opportunity in the student's schedule. That only applies to students who have both an Extended Math 1 and an Extended English placement. Again, if you have questions on that, we're here to help answer those. Finally, I'd like to talk about our reduced class size Math 1. This is for our students who are just shy of hitting the academic Math 1 benchmarks. These students are targeted into a reduced class size model, again, where they are integrated with academic peers experiencing the same curriculum. The benefit of this model is that students get a smaller student to teacher ratio, so they're able to get additional intervention within the class period. As a result, they are not asked to attend that additional half-hour homeroom. They would attend a traditional half-period study hall as a student in academic or honors math would. I know that's a lot of content, so again, we encourage you to reach out with questions that you might have. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Dr. Douglas Kaufman, our Social Studies Chair.
So good evening. I'm here obviously to talk about social studies. As you can see, we have, you'll see one of 2 placements with social studies. You'll either have academic or you'll have honors/AP. And what that means with the honors/AP is you would be able to take any of the 3 courses that you can see listed there. So the honors global issues, the AP world history, or the AP geography. Now, once again, there's, you'll see on the list that it's a suggested social studies placement or optional social studies placement. You do not have to take social studies as a freshman. However, just so you know, about 90 to 92% of our students do take social studies as a freshman because it is a good preparation piece for college, and it's a lot easier to meet any kind of minimum requirements for that. Our cutoff for the ERW score is a 480. The other factor that I use in here is the teacher recommendation. So you may have a score that's a little bit lower than a 480 and still got an honors rec. That means that you would have had an 8th grade teacher recommendation of honors. The difference, get asked a lot, the difference between academic and honors global issues. Both of them are great courses. It's a course that we created a few years ago really with young adults in mind, about topics that they're interested in, whether it be climate change type topics, economic disparity kind of topics. But really the topics do not change whether you're an academic or if you're in honors. What will change is some of the expectations in terms of analysis, some writing skills. Those will obviously be higher at the honors level because what we're attempting to do at the honors level is to prepare you for AP when you get to sophomore year and beyond. We only have honors at the freshman level. The track from there on out, sophomore, junior, and senior year is either an academic or an AP track. So the honors will prepare you for AP as a sophomore. Then the other option we have is the AP. We have AP World History and AP Human Geography. These are college level courses that we have students taking at the high school level. When College Board created these, they created them with freshmen in mind, especially for the geography, and the sophomores, freshman, sophomore for the AP World. The students that take this class actually do very well. They score well enough on the test that a lot of them actually get the opportunity for college credit because that's one of the advantages of an AP course. Not only are you taking the most rigorous curriculum we have, but at the end of the year you can take a test and if you do well enough, you can get college credit for it. So once again, one of the main differences in here is AP. It's college level. It's going to be fast-paced. It's going to be a little more reading, a little bit more writing analysis than what you're going to have at the honors level. So the student probably needs to have some good study skills coming in, have some good writing and reading skills coming in for that. The other piece with that one, too, is a lot of times interest in the subject will matter. A lot of times, what's the difference? Should I take AP Human Geography? Should I take AP World History? A lot of times, it really comes down to what your interests are. In social studies, a lot of times people like to specialize in certain topics. So that'll be, one of the factors that you might want to consider if you're looking at AP. But once again, if you had more questions, my number is in there. My email is in there. Please contact me, and I can more than happy to spend the time ahead of time with you in order to make sure you make the right decision. The last thing I want to talk about real quick is Spanish. I'm also the department chair for Spanish. We offer 3 different languages here, but Spanish is the one language that some of our students either have taken in the middle school or they are native speakers in that language, and we offer a heritage course. So if you are interested in possibly starting in any level higher than Spanish 1, and you have not taken the test or you did not take the test last Wednesday, please contact me. We actually have another makeup test tomorrow after school at 3:45. But this is something that will help us determine whether or not we can place you in Spanish 2, Spanish 2 Honors, or Heritage Spanish. So thank you. That's my portion, and I would like to introduce Mr. James Holt.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm sure we're on the verge of information overload, so they kind of had me come in last since we've got the more simplest when it comes to placement recommendations and everything. In science, we have 2 placements. We have academic and honors biology, so we're pretty clean cut there. You've seen the scores that we're using in terms of 480 on the evidence-based reading and writing, along with the recommendation coming from the 8th grade teachers. The reason why we utilize the evidence-based reading and writing is because there isn't a true science portion of the assessment, and our biology curriculum is a lot more vocabulary, reading, writing related curriculum versus our chemistry and physics down the road, in which incorporates a lot more math skills. So when it does come time for placement for those classes, we do take a look at how students are doing in math once we get to that couple years down the road. And very similar to what you have heard, our differences between our academic and our honors, there are additional units and topics that we are going to include in our honors curriculum, as well as going a little bit further in depth. There is more detailed information along with that honors curriculum. So obviously, in order to do so, we are going to be moving at a little bit quicker pace with that. So, really just kind of a quick, brief difference there. So I told you it would be short and brief, at least for the science. I do have a couple more slides, though. One topic that does come up is regard to summer school. Summer school is offered in 2 different capacities here at District 230. We have a credit recovery program and an accelerated program. Credit recovery program is, are classes in which students have taken in which they were not successful in completing those. So we do offer an opportunity for students to do a credit recovery to earn that credit back. All of us in this room, however, for this upcoming summer, if summer school is an option, you would be looking at possibly one of our accelerated courses. The registration for the accelerated courses is not going to be open until February 13th. You will be getting additional information as to how to go about registering for those classes once you're able to get into your Skyward platforms to be able to access that. Our accelerated courses typically are a couple of different areas. Sometimes we do have students that might be looking at graduating early. We may also have some students that are looking at opening up portions of their schedule to be able to take an elective class or some other additional courses that they may want to take over their career. So these are being done over the course of the summer. Our accelerated courses are being offered in a virtual format, a blended format. So there will be kind of that face-to-face time with the teachers, which is going to be available through Google Meets or Zooms, in which the students will be able to have that time. But the students will be able to go and work at their own pace throughout the courses. 2 classes that would be available for our incoming freshmen is one of which is consumer economics. Consumer economics is one of the courses that does meet a graduation requirement for a state economics requirement, and we do also have additional classes that students can take down the road for that. In business, there's personal finance. We have our economics class and our micro and macro, AP micro and AP macroeconomics and social studies. Those are usually a sophomore, junior year, or later. But the consumer economics is a potential class. It is a semester-long class, which means it would just be 1 session of 3 weeks for summer school. The other option is a honors biology class. Now, the one place that we kind of get caught up here for our students who may want to look at taking honors biology over the course of the summer is that you currently, as an 8th grader, okay, so currently as an 8th grader, you should be taking the Andrew Honors Math 1 or potentially higher course in 8th grade. So we do have some 8th graders that are already in our Honors Math 1 curriculum, so you should be in that class, Honors Math 1 or higher, not going into Honors Math 1 next year. And the big reason for that is we're trying to keep students on par with their math and science curriculum so that when they're going into the Honors Math 2, they would also be able to take the Honors Chemistry. Any questions on that summer school portion? I was trying to make sure that I explain it well enough. We do get some people that may oftentimes register for it, but currently in Honors Math 1 as an 8th grader or higher. Lastly, a couple of quick things. In your folders, you will have a freshman course offering sheet. It has a listing of all of the classes in which the students may choose from. Okay, we just want to point out a couple of different things. One is that we do have what is referred to as dual credit courses. If you are not familiar with this, we have courses in which the students can take while they are in high school, and they can earn college credit for those. If you see a course on that freshman course offering sheet where in parentheses it shows a DC on there, that stands for that course as being a course that is offered for dual credit. Okay? Oftentimes our dual credit courses are run through Moraine Valley and then being able to be transferred out. But we also have some courses that are dual credit through St. Francis, Loyola. I might be missing another one, I'm not 100% sure, but the majority of them are ones that are going to be run through Moraine Valley. So obviously that advantage is to be able to pick up a class that you could also earn some college credit for. There are going to be additional courses offered over the course of the high school career, so don't feel like this is your only opportunity in which to do so. It was mentioned earlier in terms of the electives, and oftentimes our dual credit courses are running in our elective areas. We have a number of amazing elective courses that students can take. There's a wide variety of departments, let alone classes. We've done a lot to try and showcase some of those courses for everybody, but we cannot encourage students enough to look at exploring those at some point in time when their schedule allows. This gives you the opportunity to look at exploring courses that could potentially be related to a future career. It might be something where you just want to look at taking an elective to maybe learn a new skill or just to have your brain wired a little bit differently over the course of the day. So when that opportunity comes along, we strongly encourage you to take a look at those. Why am I drawing a blank right now? Those elective courses. So we had the dual credit. We've got our elective courses. Another opportunity that may show up, there are some of our classes that are offered in an interdisciplinary way in which we're blending a couple of courses together, as well as a blended course offering as well. So some of our classes, the students may be able to come in maybe 3 or 4 times a week. They might be able to be down in the cafeteria. Some of these are being offered during 0 hours, so they may not have to come in each and every day over the course of the week. We have a number of our freshman elective videos available for you in this presentation. They'll also be made available for you on the through the guidance counselor page as well. At this time, I would like to turn it over to our guidance director, Mrs. Michelle View.
Thank you. Okay. Good evening. So now I'm going to get to the action steps of what to do at this point. So I'm going to go over with you the course selection process, which is how you select your electives and how you finalize those elective courses. Okay. So the course selection meetings, as Ms. Smith mentioned in the placement letter that you received, are directions for how to schedule your course selection meeting. Those meetings are February 1st, 2nd, and the 4th. As of this morning at 9 a.m., we had 205 families scheduled for those meetings. So if you've not done so already, please do so. Log into your Skyward account and make that counselor appointment meeting as soon as possible. At this point, we're looking at just Saturday meetings available, but please note there are plenty of meetings for all of our families. This meeting is required. Students must attend this meeting. It's very important that students are there, that they have the opportunity to ask a school counselor any questions that they may have about electives or their course selection, and just get familiar with advocating for themselves in this process. So it is a required meeting. Students are required to be there. The link for the meeting will be sent to you the day before the meeting. So it is a Zoom link. This is a virtual meeting. It will be sent to you the day before the meeting, and you will have that link available to you. If for some reason between now and your meeting you need to change your meeting date and time, you can simply log back into Skyward, cancel the original meeting, and schedule a different date and time. So you have access to do all of that via Skyward. Review placements. Our DCs did a great job of going over this, and they talked a lot about that waiver form. What I do want to note is that should you submit the waiver form and not hear back from the DC prior to your counselor meeting, please do not fret. The DC will have those conversations with you, and if there is a change in placement that needs to be made, the DC will go through and process that change in placement. So if it comes to the point that you're about to log in with a counselor, you think to yourself, I haven't heard back, do not panic. We will get to you. We will talk to you about those placement changes that you've requested. And then if anything needs to be changed, the DC will make those changes in Skyward for you. And it is important to note that all course selections are finalized on February 8th at noon. So should you talk to the counselor, change your mind, just make sure, keep that date in mind, February 8th, finalization for the course selection process. Okay. Exploration. So Mr. Holt talked a lot about the different opportunities we have here. Our Class of 2027 webpage has all of the links to our videos and other elective courses that we have available. In there, I want to make sure that you take time and students take time to read the course selection guide. That is the description of what the class is. I can tell you, being a counselor for almost 20 years, I had students every single year tell me, I didn't know what that class was about. I don't want to take it anymore, okay? Or my sister took it and they liked it. I thought I would like it. It is really important that students take classes that are of interest to them, and it can be for exploration. It can be to help prepare them for the future, but they really want to make sure that they have an interest in that course when they're picking out those courses. Okay. In addition to the electives and the different information we have, there are some guides on there. They're sample freshman schedules. I know sometimes if a student's involved in music and wants to take language and a social studies, it can get kind of tricky to figure out how do I fit all of this. So on that webpage, we do have sample student schedules that can help be a guide. We also have sample 4-year and 2-year university graduation and admission requirements, as well as our District 230 graduation requirements. So lots of resources for you to explore. Okay. So in picking out these classes, how do you do it? How do you get organized? In your folder on the left-hand side, you have a 2-sheet yellow document. The first page of that yellow document is the course selection worksheet. So this is what you and your student are going to sit down and fill out when you're in the process of exploring and picking out exactly what classes it is that you would like to select for your freshman year. Okay. On the course selection worksheet, you can see that we have left a space for 0 hour. 0 hour is an optional opportunity for students to take a class that will run Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at 7 a.m. That class is from 7 to 7:55 a.m. So if students are selecting to take that class, they should be students who are ready to get up early, ready to learn, and ready to explore. The options for 0 hour courses are available on that second page. So the second page of your handout is the course offering sheet. That sheet has very small font because we offer so many courses for our freshman students. So if you take a look at that sheet, that is a great place to start your exploration. Those are all of our classes that are available for our freshmen to take. In the bottom left-hand corner, it says 0 hour offerings. If a student is interested in taking a 0 hour, those are the only courses that could potentially be offered 0 hour. Okay? So you can't go through any class on there and say, we'd like to take this 0 hour. Students that want 0 hour have to select from those options. It's important to know when you're looking at those options, some of the options on there are freshman PE, our freshman academic English class. If your student selects 0 hour and says, I'd like my freshman academic English class to be 0 hour, and then they pick the rest of their courses, it's not guaranteed that that will be the class that happens to run 0 hour. It could be freshman PE. Okay? So they're making the option, yes, I want to take a 0 hour. They're selecting from the possible opportunities of those courses listed there, and then as they go through and their courses tumble, ultimately they'll get their schedule in August that will align with what hour all of the courses run. 0 hour is a really big discussion to have at home if you're thinking about it and making sure that you're ready to commit to your freshman year taking that and getting up early and doing those courses and learning with us. The other things on your course selection worksheet, you are going to select your elective courses. So depending on your placements, will depend on how many elective courses you can select. If a student is recommended for resource classes or extended courses, that may limit the number of electives they can take for their freshman year. So that is dependent on their placements. World language and social studies are elective courses. So for example, if your student selects to take a world language their freshman year, that takes up a full elective first and second semester for your students. You want to take the time to go through and plan out exactly what courses they want. I know sometimes students get to the point where they think there's so many amazing classes I want to take and I don't have time. The good news is that you will be a freshman and you will have 3 additional years to take those additional courses. Our counselors will work with you on planning out those opportunities. So really just take the time for your freshman year to plan out what is best now, and then we'll help support you in moving forward. Okay. Additionally, there are boxes on there that say alternate choices. Sometimes classes will interfere with other classes that are offered. So we do ask that all students select 2 to 4 alternate courses. That means your other courses are prioritized, but if for some chance a course does not work in your schedule, the counselor will input those alternate courses. It's very important that those alternate courses are something that you would want to take because those could be slotted into your schedule. We prioritize your first top choices, but alternates are something that you need to take time in exploring. We ask all students at every grade level to provide alternates for us so that we can help make sure that you have all courses that you would like to take in your schedule and can optimize that opportunity. Okay. So the course selection worksheet is something that you will fill out and have prepared for you for your course selection meeting. The course selection meeting, as I mentioned, will be virtual. The Zoom links will be sent out to you via email. We ask that you arrive on time. It's very important. These meetings will be approximately 10 minutes with a school counselor. The students, again, must be present. I know that we've got some volleyball camps or students moving off for basketball things on Friday night to Saturday morning. You can log in on your phone. Just make sure that you've got that ready, but students need to be there. The more prepared you are for the meeting, the more opportunity you will have to ask questions and make sure that you're in the right place and talk with the counselors. And then we will finalize those course requests on February 8th at noon. If your student has an IEP or a 504, so students with IEPs, right now our special services department is attending throughout the school year the student's 8th grade IEP meeting. During that meeting, courses selected for freshman year are discussed. So those courses will already be discussed during that meeting, and they will be entered into Skyward for your student. Students with an IEP are still welcome to schedule an appointment with a counselor. Just make sure you note that just like placements for other courses, counselors cannot make changes to IEP placements, but they can make changes to electives. Counselors can answer questions about electives. If your student's good with the classes that you selected in those IEP meetings, your student is still welcome. We'd love to see you to meet a counselor, to just say hi and ask any other general questions that they have. But just so you know, students with IEPs, those courses are selected during your 8th grade IEP meeting. Ms. Cheryl Russell, our Director of Student Services, is here this evening in room 144. So if you have questions after our presentation, she is available to answer any questions you may have. If your student has a 504 plan, those plans are sent to us in the summer from the feeder school. Once we receive those plans in the summer, we review them and we upload them into our student information system. And your student's counselor is the case manager for 504s. Those 504s will be implemented at our school, and we will schedule meetings with you to discuss and review those 504s. And the counselor is the point person once you've started for any questions in regards to 504. If you have questions prior to then, I, Michelle View, am the Director of Guidance, and I can answer any questions you have about your student's 504 and happy to guide you in that, okay? So that is the course selection process. I'm going to run you through, after course selection is the completion of enrollment. So our enrollment process, you've already started. Many of you have started that. 4 next steps. The enrollment form, you received an email for with the link to complete the enrollment form. Okay. The enrollment form is completed via Laserfiche and requires your student ID number. Your student ID number was sent to you in an email, is available via Skyward, and is also part of your placement letter that you received in the email as well as in your folder. Enrollment form is very important to fill out sooner than later because it gives us the most up-to-date information about your student and you. When we receive your information from our 8th grade feeder schools, traditionally they send us one parent contact, one guardian contact. Okay? And that pulls in as our primary. This is an opportunity for you to make changes to your email address, your address, and add additional guardians for contact to receive information in your enrollment form. So please take time to fill this out sooner than later so that we can make sure that we're communicating to the best sources and sending out information appropriately. In addition, in the enrollment form, you will need to upload birth certificate, and instructions are there for you, and any additional custodial documents. Second part is our health documents and upload. All of this information is linked on our website, but there's 3 major pieces of information we need for your student. The student emergency information form, simple doc of who to contact in case of emergency. Certificate of child health exam. That is due by May 1st and available for you to start getting those exams now and upload via Laserfiche. And the dental examination is also due by May 1st. So these are all available for you. Our forms are online for you to download and bring to your physician's offices accordingly, and then upload via Laserfiche. Residency, so for some of you who have older children and maybe haven't been here for a while coming through, residency is something that is not required at this time. We have partnered, District 230 has partnered with a third-party vendor called Clear Corporation, which runs through all of the data you have submitted to us in regard to your residency to identify if that information is up to date and current. In June, you will receive an email from us stating you have been cleared for residency. There are no additional documents you need to submit, or you have not been cleared for residency, and it will outline the exact documents that you must submit to us in order to complete residency. So that will be done in June. There is nothing to worry about in this time. You will receive an email either way of yes, you're cleared, or no, we need additional information for residency. And then finally, our last step is in the summer. Those of you with current students are familiar with this. You will receive another email that's called our online consent email. This is another opportunity for you to go into Skyward, make sure your information is up to date. You will also sign off on different consents in regards to photo, technology, or parent-student handbook, and that must be completed in the summer. You will receive information with details on how to do that. If you complete all of these enrollment steps in August, you'll receive an email that says your schedule is available in Skyward, and that is when our schedules will be released in early August. Okay. As others have mentioned, this entire presentation will be emailed out to you. It is being video recorded as well, so tomorrow afternoon I'll send out the link to the presentation as well as the audio recording. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Abir Othman.
How are we doing? Yeah. Is that a lot? Little bit? How many first-time parents in the audience tonight? I know I surveyed you the last time you were here, just want to make sure. All right. How many of you can run this with your eyes closed already? You got this. Couple? All right. So I know you've been sitting for a little bit. We are going to transition. We believe in brain breaks at Andrew High School. So with our classes, we always try to provide our students a little bit of time for a brain break. We're going to give you as well a little bit of a brain break. We have a panel, an AP Honors panel. Students are here tonight for those of you that wish to hear from the students firsthand what that experience is like here at Andrew High School to help answer questions. We have teachers as well in the AP Honors program. For those of you that it's optional, you definitely don't have to stay, but those of you that aren't interested and would like to depart, that would be okay. Those that would like to stay, what we're going to offer is a 10-minute break in between, what we're calling a brain break, just to help you stretch, get up. We'll have Ms. Cisan, our PAC director, play a little music if that helps folks get to the bathroom, take a little bit of a breather, and then come back. On behalf of the main office, with me is Mr. Dalton, our assistant principal. He is what we call our fun AP. So he wanted me to remind you about April 19th is our activities and our athletic night to get involved. Want to remind you that that is one of the last steps for you transitioning to Andrew High School. With us also is Mr. Nolan. He is our associate principal of student services. You met Mrs. Smith, our Associate Principal of Curriculum and Instruction. We, again, welcome you to Andrew High School. I'm going to give you that break now. So brain break, if you want to stay for the student and staff panel to hear about our AP Honors program, you are welcome to. Mrs. Russell, Special Services, is in room 144 if you have questions for her. And thank you again. Have a great evening for those of you leaving. Those of you staying, thank you very much.
I know it's been some time